motion is agreed to. Call on Government Order of the Day number 3.
Crimes Amendment Bill number 2, second reading.
The Honourable Simon Power.
Mr Speaker, I move that the Crimes Amendment Bill number 2 be now read a second time. Mr Speaker, I'd like to thank the Social Services Committee for its consideration of this bill and its recommendations, which the Government will accept. The committee received 39 written submissions and heard 10 submitters, most of which supported the proposals to strengthen the criminal law to better respond to the ill treatment and neglect of children. Without wanting to diminish the concerns expressed by some submitters regarding the effectiveness of the proposals in protecting children, from the perspective of the criminal justice system, there must be adequate provision in the law to hold accountable those who inflict serious offending against the most vulnerable members of our community, and specifically, Mr Speaker, as well as those who choose to turn a blind eye. The Government has been developing a number of other initiatives that focus on reducing family violence and improving outcomes for those living in at-risk situations, such as the recently released Green Paper for Vulnerable Children. The committee received a small number of submissions which were opposed to the proposed change to the definition of claim of right on the grounds that the change was unnecessary. I consider that the incorporation of a property right criterion in the definition of claim of right is needed to ensure that the use of the defence conforms to the common law and comparable overseas jurisdictions. The bill also clarifies the scope of the sexual grooming offence and increases the penalty of the offence of possession of an offensive weapon. I support, and so does the Government, the committee's recommendation to amend the proposed new offence in section 195 cap A for failure to protect to clarify that where a third party breaches a duty to protect a child or vulnerable adult, the breach must have been grossly negligent. The committee also recommended that the offence based on a failure to protect be amended so that a person cannot be charged with the offence if he or she was under 18 years at the time of the act or omission. Parents and caregivers aged under 18 years remain liable under section 195 for a failure to take reasonable steps to protect their child from injury. The committee recommended a number of minor and technical changes to the bill to clarify wording and ensure appropriate consistency with other provisions in the Crimes Act. Mr Speaker, this bill sends an important signal to those who remain in a household with children who have the potential to be harmed, injured, maimed or killed. It is a critical step to ensure that this Parliament sends a firm message to those who would choose to turn a blind eye to the abuse and neglect of those children, that this Parliament will not tolerate that behaviour or those omissions. Mr Speaker, this is an important change to the criminal law, and I look forward to listening to the debate with some care over the next few minutes. This is an opportunity for the Parliament to stamp its authority on an issue which has long escaped Parliament's law-making efforts. This is a time for the Government and the Parliament to take a stand on the neglect around children and to stand up for those whose voices are too small, that they are not heard by those in authority, and recognise the fact that we have an obligation to protect the most important and, of course, the most vulnerable members of our society. I thank the members of the Social Services Committee for their consideration of the bill and commend this bill to the House.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Dr Ajim Prasad.